Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. It is good to be with you guys. I'm starting to feel like Sunday night is the night when I should consistently podcast during the off season. I don't know. We'll see. Here's the theme song. Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts.
Clippers.
I want you to know I'm not completely tone deaf to what's going on in downtown Los Angeles right now. For coverage on that, I would recommend KFI AM 640 since I am at iHeartRadio. That's a good place to go, or wherever you typically go for political commentary of your liking. This is not that here, obviously. Nobody is coming to me to listen to that. We're here to talk Clippers. Joseph Raya-Ward will be on the show in just a little bit here. Mark is in here and said, "Oh, hi, Adam." "Oh, hi, Mark." A little The Room reference for you. Joseph Raya-Ward in just a little bit, formerly of the Clip Set podcast, now a contributor with 213 Hoops and Clips and Dip. And once in a while, he joins me here on Clippers Talk as well. A lot's happened the last week, a lot of scuttlebutt at least. Nothing definitive, as it is rumor season around this time. Timothy said definitely not first. Tahid is in here. What about Bol? Please no KD, said Venkata. All right, so we got some people with some opinions immediately. And you know what? Since I'm here in the Burbank studios, if you guys want to call in, 877-520-1150, 877-520-1150. But I wanted to start with the KD rumor, since that has come about thanks to a guy I think I criticized once before, a radio host in Phoenix, only because while he is plugged in with the Phoenix Suns, when they brought in Jusuf Nurkic, he referred to him as a defensive-minded player. And I kind of just was like, huh?
Like, I don't know. What did the numbers say? Shit.
The numbers don't say that. I don't know what says that about Jusuf Nurkic.
I don't know. What did the numbers say? Shit.
Defensive-minded player, Jusuf Nurkic? Okay, that's all right. We all make mistakes. Maybe that was his. I think they learned eventually, the Phoenix Suns, about how much he enjoys playing defense. I'm referring to 98.7 FM's John Gambadoro, who said, quote, "The one team that I think there will be communication with, this may be the Suns reaching out to them or them reaching out to the Suns or just mutual interest, is the Clippers. We've never talked about the Clippers before. They got Ivica Zubac, they got Chris Dunn, they got Norman Powell, they got Derrick Jones Jr. I'll have to look at what their draft capital is, but the Clippers are a team that I heard." He said they are a dark horse candidate to make a move for Kevin Durant. Now, the first thing I would tell John is I don't think they're giving up Ivica Zubac. You can name Chris Dunn, Norman Powell, Derrick Jones Jr. You can pretty much name anybody on the Clippers. But I don't think in a trade for KD they'd be giving up Ivica Zubac, who's almost 10 years younger than Kevin Durant. So who is Kevin Durant at this point? And should Clipper Nation want him? I don't know. Last couple of teams he's been on haven't reached the promised land, haven't been successful enough. The Brooklyn Nets imploded. Was it his fault? No. There was stuff with Kyrie Irving. There were injury concerns. James Harden was there. Do he and KD get along? All reports say yes. Didn't work out. He came to Phoenix, and when he did, I have to be honest about this, on that fateful night, was it before the trade deadline or was it in December when he was traded to the Suns? Was it late 2022 or early 2023? Either way, I thought at that time, like many, they were in the driver's seat in the Western Conference, bringing in KD. He twists his ankle in the layup line before his first game, misses a couple of weeks. They beat the Clippers in the first round. The Clippers team without Kawhi after the first 2 games, without Paul George the entire series. They would lose in the second round. They've won 1 playoff series with that group, with him and Devin Booker. It's been unsuccessful in terms of getting to the top of the mountain since KD left the Golden State Warriors. Did his Achilles in 2019 in the NBA Finals, lost to Kawhi and the Toronto Raptors. How much of that was about Kevin Durant? And how much was just unlucky, unfortunate circumstances? I think KD still has a lot left. Might only be a lot for 2 years playing around this level, where he is still one of the better players in the game. Now, you can make the argument, then why didn't the Phoenix Suns even get into the play-in this year? They completely fell apart. Things snowballed on them. And honestly, that was a complete disaster for them. Embarrassing for them to not even be in the play-in with a team with Book and Kevin Durant. Now, offensively, they were 13th in the league. Defensively, this past year, 27th. So when you attribute blame and you say, well, they had Kevin Durant, why weren't they better? Well, they were pretty good offensively. Not as good as they should have been. They were woeful on the defensive end. Brought in Nick Richards, didn't matter. They couldn't figure it out. Guys were not playing for one another. The Bradley Beal situation, just a complete mess. How much falls at the feet of Kevin Durant? I don't know. KD in the past hasn't exactly said he wanted to be a leader or have that leadership role on him. I just think there are way too many moving parts and way too many variables to say it's about any one guy in what happened with Phoenix. I think if you're the Clippers and you're interested in making this move, what you're doing is saying, okay, we got 2 years here. Kawhi's on the books till 2027. That's how long till he's off the air.
Off the air.
Since you love calling him a robot or whatever. We think he'd be extension eligible. Who knows what happens? But he is under contract the next 2 seasons. James Harden, he has a player option for this summer. I think we got to find out by June 30th whether or not he's picking it up, or the more likely option is he becomes a free agent, and most people assume that he's back to the Clippers under a 2-year deal to align his contract with Kawhi's contract. And it's going to be as simple as that. Therefore, you have a 2-year window where you're trying to compete. Whether or not you're a championship contender will depend on the rest of the roster and how fortunate you are with good health for guys who are, in terms of James Harden, he's turning 36 this year. Kawhi's going to be 34 throughout this season. Kevin Durant will be 37 throughout this year. Is this about a 2-year window to salvage this era and try to win a ring in the Kawhi Leonard Clippers era? It started in the summer of 2019. If so, do you go out and bring in players that give you the highest ceiling possible as long as it doesn't cost you your future, meaning first-round picks or putting yourself in cap hell? That could make sense. If you don't give up the farm, you take short-term risks, meaning, yes, Kevin Durant's 37. He's had some injury issues, obviously. But if everybody's healthy at the right time, do we have a chance with all that talent out there? I think you could make that argument. How likely is it that all 3 of those guys stay healthy for 4 rounds? I don't know. Will they have enough support from younger players? Can they round out the roster, be better around the edges and the margins with younger, more athletic players meaning you don't end up giving up Derek Jones Jr. in a trade for KD. That'd be nice if you could hold on to him. How's that going to happen? How do you make a move for Kevin Durant, who is on an expiring contract? He's turning 37, and he is making, I want to say, $54 million this year. Yep, almost 55. Then he's an unrestricted free agent, summer 2026. So I'm going to get around there with contracts. Not easy. Who are the most likely candidates the Clippers move? It starts with Norman Powell. He makes $20 million. Bogdan Bogdanović makes 16. He's got a team option after this year. Teams could see that as pretty favorable. Norm's making about 20.5 this year on an expiring. Bogey, 16. It's basically an expiring because there's a team option after that. Now you're at 36. All right, how do you get into the ballpark, though, here? You probably got to give up Derek Jones Jr. and his $10 million. Throw in Drew Eubanks. He makes $5 million. Now you're at 51 to get to KD's 54. Is it possible? Sure. Do you want to do it? I don't know. You tell me, Clipper Nation. 877-520-1150. Does it get them closer to a championship? Depends on how they fill out the rest of the roster, obviously. If you have to lose Derek Jones Jr., which they're going to want. Problem is, from the Suns' perspective, the Knicks could come calling and offer Karl Anthony Towns. Pair him with Devin Booker. They played together at Kentucky. Isn't that at least you getting a younger player who's very talented but does have his flaws? Is that better than a trade package around Norman Powell? I think the Knicks have at least one first they can give you. The Clippers have a 2030 first they could give up right now. Do you want to do that for KD? San Antonio could come calling. They got all the first round picks. They got all the young talent. Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. I don't think they give up Castle. What about the Dallas Mavericks? They know they're going to be without Kyrie Irving for maybe all of this year, but at least till probably February, March off the ACL. They give up PJ Washington. They got some pieces. Gafford. Phoenix wants a big man. Some draft capital. Houston. They could be in the hunt for KD. The Toronto Raptors are said to be in the hunt for KD. The point is, they can drive up the price if they just have two teams pitted against one another. Well, they might have 4 or 5 that are interested in the services from Kevin Durant. And then how do the Clippers and their assets stack up against what all those teams are offering? Probably not that well. Because as much as I like Norman Powell, and he can help a team, is Phoenix the right team? Another guard to pair with Booker and Beal? Booker could still be traded if they really want to shake things up in Phoenix. Beal, well, he has a no-trade clause. So what, your 3 best players are all going to be guards out there? Seems unlikely because they probably have learned something from having guys that are too similar. I don't know if they do it. And if you're not moving Norm, I don't know how it happens because I don't think they're moving Ivica Zubac for him. The philosophy, though, of all that matters is you get closer to a ring this year without sacrificing cap room in 2026 or 2027. That makes sense to me. Going all in a small window. We'll go all in as long as we bring in guys that just transfer salary from guys leaving that would have been off the books in a couple of years anyways with the Clippers, whether it be Norm or Bogey or DJ, that are on the Clippers timeline currently to free up money for 2027 for other guys who would be on or off the books in 2027 as well. You're just switching out contracts and players that aren't going to hold you back from being big spenders in 2 years. That makes sense. I don't hate that if that's the plan. Deathstroke said Durant is basically still a beast. He is. Like, you guys would be shocked, but KD, he averaged 27 points last year on 53% shooting and 43% from the outside and played 62 games. Basically the same numbers he put up the year before when he played 75 games. He has been consistently great, even at an older age, because, yes, as you get much older, you start to shrink. He's not shrinking yet. He's still a 7-foot sniper. And even though he has lost athleticism and burst and doesn't attack the basket as much, it doesn't matter. He's shooting over the top of you. Easy money sniper, the Durantula. I think he can help take them to a higher place, especially because that means he and Kawhi are the number 1 and number 2 options. And James Harden is back to being the third option, which is how they originally envisioned him when he came in to play next to Kawhi and Paul George. You guys probably are familiar with how good KD was last season because the Clippers never beat Phoenix, including a 20-point turnaround they had. The second game against them on Halloween, where it was definitely a trick, not a treat from Phoenix, where they started the third quarter 15 of 15 after being down 19 or 20, and they came back and won at Intuit Dome. They won the first game ever at Intuit Dome. Garrett said KD is a perfect fit if we can get him for like Norm, Bogey, DJ, and picks. But can we do that? That's really a question. I think they can. I don't know if Phoenix would accept it, given what other teams are in the mix for Kevin Durant and what they could offer. KD immediately plays the 4. You got a lot of at least height out there and length. Kawhi slides down to the 3 spot. You want that 4 that can shoot next to Ivica Zubac? Kevin Durant is that. And then, do you have a chance if everything lines up? Yeah, if everybody can stay healthy, if all those older guys can. They don't really have the time or the assets to build it the right way right now in a short period of time in this small window with Kawhi. And we're assuming James will be back for 2 years too. So you kind of got to take some shortcuts or take some big swings. Kevin Durant would be that. They don't have time to do the draft process or developing a different culture. It's just, hey, this is it. Last dance, last hurrah. Get the old guys in that are still playing at a high level when they're available and see if we can get a stroke of good luck and make it through the playoffs. Make it through the regular season too. Just throw out a ton of talent, see what happens. KD and Harden obviously are familiar with one another. And they had some moments. They only played like 16 or 18 games with those two next to Kyrie in Brooklyn, but they were dominant. The Clippers saw them healthy at full strength. You'd have a big, long team out there. What happens then if Chris Dunn or DJ remains? One of them probably is still starting. We're talking James Harden next to ideally DJ, then Kawhi, then KD, then Ivica Zubac. There is something to maybe being able to prolong everyone's career by sharing the load collectively with these older guys. KD doesn't have to have it all on his plate at 37. Kawhi doesn't either because KD's next to him. at 34. James at 36 also doesn't have to score nearly as much as he did this past season because he's got both of them in theory. It could extend everyone's career. J-Dog said, I like KD, but I don't know. Wouldn't our roster be very depleted? They would be, but they still have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception if they give away enough guys in the trade to not go over the luxury tax when they bring in KD. And I think they'll have it regardless as long as it doesn't happen within the next month. If it happened afterwards, because of when the year starts for the salary cap purposes, and whether or not where you are at that point under the luxury tax. J-Dog said, because losing all those pieces would be hard to cover back up, starting with DJ's athleticism. Yeah, you got to give to get. I still don't know logically how it makes much sense for the Phoenix Suns. If the main guy they're getting back is Norm, they still can't get rid of Bradley Beal because he has a no trade clause. So your top three guys are all small guards. Booker, Beal, Norm. I don't know how they'd pull off the trade while keeping DJ, to be honest. Give up a first and then add salaries by putting some of the young guys in it, Kobe and Jordan. I mean, would you guys want to give up the 2030 first round pick? I'm guessing most people would say no, but it's probably going to take that. Giving up at least one first round pick to get KD. Maddox says James Harden was the reason we lost versus Denver in that first round. That's weak. 4 of the 7 games he played really well. Game 1 where they should have won, he was unbelievable. Again, anytime you're trying to just pin it on one person, kind of tells me your collective basketball knowledge. It's never that simple. Oh, he was the reason. It's James Harden's fault. Many reasons they lost that series. D. Damari said, if they get Norm, they're going to have to push Beal out. They don't even want him there. Again, Bradley Beal and LeBron James are the only 2 guys in this league with a no trade clause. I don't think that's happening. Noah Bullock rightfully pointing out, without Harden, we don't make the first round. Harden only missed 3 games last season. He was an absolute workhorse innings eater for them. Incredible. So, yes, he should be appreciated for that. Someone else saying, I mean, calm down. Harden was not the reason we lost, but he was a big reason. And you could slice the blame pie a lot of different ways. Amin said, if we get Bradley Beal, I don't even know why I read that. Do you know how many guys would have to be traded to bring in Bradley Beal and KD? It's not happening. We're talking like $90 million being traded. Garrett said, only reason Suns would take it in mind is financial flexibility. Norm, Bogey, and DJ all on short-term small deals. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant's on an expiring too. So it's not like you're getting a guy in his prime that's under contract for 3 more seasons. He's 37 and he's got 1 year left on this deal. So maybe they know they can't get as much for KD also. I just think they can probably get more. With all the teams that would love to have his services, they can probably get more. And they could probably get guys that make more sense, that are just better fits than having Norm, Booker, and Beal. Yeah. I understand. It makes them even older. Does it make them more dangerous, though, if they're all healthy? I think so. It gives them a higher ceiling and probably also a lower floor. That's the risk you take. But if the point is to try to do whatever it takes to win a championship, that means raising your ceiling. And you have to have a lot of things go your way anyways. I think it would increase their chances slightly for winning a championship. Doesn't mean you should do it. They're going to do it. Phoenix is willing to do it. But I know how hungry everybody is for a championship.
Yo, man, we so hungry, we can feel it. We out here. So, when you hungry as hell, you eat a good meal. We want to play people sucking their fingers and shit, looking for crumbs. That's what we've been so long, dog. Now we actually eating some prime rib. We are eating a good meal. We are eating Wagyu steak. And we recognizing, damn, this is how it is to be at the top.
Clavon had to chime in. Kevin Durant can be a pretty solid defender in the right spot, if he doesn't have to do everything. This season, they were asking him to do way too much on a bad defensive squad in Phoenix overall. Not just personnel-wise, they did not care. They did not play for one another. All right. Somebody I care very much about is about to join us. Let me switch the headphones. Make sure we keep this professional here. As we are lucky to be joined by a true pro, covered the Clippers for years, on the Clip Set podcast, one of the best to ever do it, Joseph Raya-Ward has entered the conversation. Joseph, you good?
Hey, Adam. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing okay. Before we get to CP3, some of the other topics, I was just running through the possibility of bringing in Kevin Durant. What are your feelings about that? Because there is a rumor out there that the Clippers are a dark horse candidate for him.
I think that if you can get him for your salary flotsam and no picks, it's worth it. Now, this year's pick is a different story. Like, if for some reason that entices Phoenix, whatever, I don't care. Go ahead, take number 30. But I don't feel like mortgaging your future anymore for Kevin Durant is really worth it at this point in time.
Yeah, give up this year's 30, not the 2030 first.
Correct. Yeah, that's my feeling about it.
I agree with you. I just, in running through the possibilities, obviously Norm would be like the central piece you would bring over. I don't know why Phoenix would do it.
Correct.
They're still going to have Beal. They're still going to have Booker. Does it make sense to bring in another guard? Other teams are going to offer them pieces that are just a better fit. But
right.
It's worth entertaining, and I like the higher ceiling possibility. And just
Yeah.
We're going to go for it these 2 years with Kawhi, and we're all assuming James Harden will be here. As long as it doesn't obstruct our future at all, we'll do anything outside of that for the next 2 years.
Right.
No, go ahead.
No, I think the only other possibility is if you have a deal lined up for Norm for stuff, even if it is just like other expirings plus a pick or two, and like that's what gets you in the Kevin Durant conversation. I think that's like a different story. Because, I don't see it for Phoenix in terms of Norm actually being a quote unquote centerpiece for that deal.
The trade before the trade or a three-way trade, things start to get really complicated, feels even less likely, but we'll see. He spoke glowingly about Intuit Dome being there opening night. He had nice things to say, Steve Ballmer. speaking of big picture stuff and Clippers philosophy, we kind of are in our own little camp or on our own island right now. I don't know if I'm the volleyball and you're Tom Hanks or vice versa, but we've been cast away when it comes to the thought of Jonathan Kuminga or just a player like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everybody's unique, but players that are on the younger side that have flaws that for whatever reason aren't seen for being part of the future in their current organizations. And maybe those are guys that the Clippers should be looking at to try to find a diamond in a rough, a guy that can grow with this current group and eventually take on more of a leadership option 1, option 2, option 3 type of form in a couple of years here as they get older. Just try to outline that for Clipper Nation, because I think it's a viable pivot for this organization right now and would excite the fan base if they just saw the vision the way we do.
Yeah, I think the Clippers are very clearly trying to position themselves for the summer of 2027, right? And they do not want to do anything that would jeopardize their cap space for hopefully 2 stars in 2027. Now, I don't really agree that they're going to be able to get 2 stars again the way that they did with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So my vision,
which reason for them having to do it then, like the fact that is so rare to come about, also buttresses your argument that they had to do it. They had to do it.
Right.
It's such a rare thing.
Right. To kind of like speak to that, the Paul George trade is a trade that you have to do. It just didn't work. Like both things can be true. I think at the time you have to do it, but in hindsight you can look back and be like, look, you got your first Western Conference Finals out of it, but other than that, you just got a lot more headache than you did, real productive output. My whole thing with Kuminga is I really think the Clippers are at this inflection point. The team this year was really good and gave you enough hope to where you felt like they had a ceiling of, getting through a couple rounds in the playoffs, maybe even 3 rounds, getting to the finals, but also had a floor of if they fell into the play-in, you didn't really feel like it was out of the realm of possibility that they were going to lose in the play-in. So I think that we saw both sides of the team too in that first round series against the Denver team that showed it had some real competitive mettle still. And had that kind of championship level drive. And so what I would do if I were running the team, and obviously it's probably good that I'm not, is I would pivot towards trying to build a team of 23 to 25-year-olds that are going to need a couple years to really see if you can get them to a place to where they can be real pieces on a contender. Yeah, the team isn't going to be very good. Yeah, the Thunder are going to get a couple more maybe lottery picks from you, but you at least position yourself to where someone like Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, someone else is going to look at the team and go, you know what? I can grow. In Luka's case, I can grow with that team and we can be a championship contender. Or in Jokic's case, hey, these people can make it easier for me to continue to thrive as sort of a heliocentric star, which those 2 players are.
See, I think on one hand, you could bring in Kuminga and he could actually play with Kawhi and James Harden.
Agreed.
But there's another route where you blow it up more. And I think that's what you're talking about. You mentioned before, and some people brought this up, that what about Kawhi going back to San Antonio and bringing in some of the young talent that they have and fostering them and putting them in Clippers, culture in this environment, and then see what you have in a couple seasons when the money opens up and then you go big game hunting. Who are some of those guys that you'd be interested from San Antonio?
I mean, Devin Vassell, I think, is a no-brainer. Obviously, I think that's a tough ask for San Antonio because he is one of their quote-unquote centerpieces. I like Keldon Johnson. He's a gunner. He makes too much money for what he is, but I like him. He's a guy who can put the ball in the basket, can shoot at a high clip. And I think he's one of those guys where in a couple of years, maybe he can take more of a Norm Powell role. They kind of did shift him towards that, this season, bringing him off the bench. And I think that those are the kind of guys that you need on a team if you want to have a high ceiling. I know you have a pretty big love of Stephon Castle. I think he's awesome. I just don't think in a Kawhi deal he's touchable. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, probably not. I don't even know. They just have so many assets. They could feasibly get Giannis and still hold on to him.
Correct. Correct.
That's where
Yeah.
San Antonio is at right now. They're in a
Right.
really good spot. They're poised to be the next OKC, a team with a giant window and young talent. Maybe they want to accelerate the process of bringing in somebody like Kawhi or Giannis. It's just scuttlebutt again, guys, the Kawhi talk going to San Antonio. But it is an interesting philosophy to just try to see if the Clippers can hit big on one of these younger guys. You know, I was going back and looking at some of the numbers from Jalen Brunson in Dallas recently, trying to line that up with where Kuminga has been at the last couple of seasons. And it's not that far away. I think Jalen Brunson was averaging like 16 per game his last year. He had more playoff opportunities. We saw that firsthand.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Kuminga, those last 3 games against Minnesota look pretty damn good. And maybe that's the reason they won't let him go. And Joe Lacob loves him. And if the owner loves him, he's not going to let him go. I just think the more I dug into the situation with Jonathan Kuminga and some of the numbers and the game logs from the last 2 seasons, the more excited I got for his overall potential looking at his age.
Yeah, I think the age, I think the athleticism, I think the scoring potential is all, you know, a really exciting prospect. And for me, I want to see if the challenge of being sort of like discarded by the team that drafted him gets his head in the right space, right? Because clearly, I don't think it's the talent piece really that's making there be friction in Golden State. And there's clearly, I mean, you know, you've heard the reports where there's guys on the coaching staff and in the front office who didn't want him and have never wanted him. And so that's like a source of consternation. But I do think that there's probably some friction between, you know, Kuminga and the team in terms of like outlook on what his role should be. And I do wonder if coming into an environment here where maybe he can get just a little bit more shine, but it makes him buy into the little things a little bit more as well to kind of prove Golden State wrong. Yeah,
chip on his shoulder. I think the fit, and Steve Kerr has talked about this, and it makes sense. Now that Jimmy Butler's there, is even more awkward in some ways. So regardless if they match, if somebody offers him something else, he's a restricted free agent. I think it's more likely than not Golden State does match the offer and they retain him because he has so much high-end potential and he is so young. And even if it's just to have him as an asset later on down the road so they can flip him and make more improvements that way. This Clippers team, though, let's say they stand pat for the most part, and it is the more likely scenario with them is they run it back and they make some tweaks around the margins and they improve on the edges some. Who's a big man you could see them bringing in? They have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. They're in a decent spot where I think they can improve enough to be dangerous in some of the ways they weren't against Denver in the first round, where some of the role players just weren't in the place that we were hoping they'd be.
Yeah, someone that I've been talking about with friends for a minute is Obi Toppin. I know he's like playing in the finals right now, and it might seem like he's an integral piece of the Pacers puzzle, but they do have some money things they have to figure out pretty soon. After next year, they got to start thinking about a Mathurin extension. They have to bring back Miles Turner, and there are already rumors that they're going to look to like kind of cut payroll after this run to make room for those extensions. And this year with the new CBA, you can bring in someone via trade and use your mid-level exception to absorb that salary. So Obi is sort of firmly in that range, and that's someone that I would be really interested in bringing in. Other guys, I don't think you can probably convince him to come and play off the bench, but Brook Lopez is someone that I'm really interested in. I really like Steven Adams. Just in general, I don't know how big of a number he's going to be at. But, you know, those are the kind of guys I would look at. I mean, obviously Clint Capella is going to be a free agent, but I just don't know what his market is, right? The guy's just making, you know, $25 million. So I don't know how big of a discount he's going to take.
Yeah. Obi Toppin's interesting. If a lot of this could just depend on how the finals go for them. And he had the big
Correct.
game one, the second half, knocking down all those 3-pointers. Lucas Hannon and I were talking like, oh, I think he just played himself out of being able to be traded by the Pacers. But if they
Right.
hold on to him, there is Jarris Walker, who's kind of been stowed away. Then you could make a
Right.
run at him. Like Benedict Mathurin, then does he become a possibility? I would love
Right.
that. I've been high on him for a while. It feels like every team right now has to pinch pennies, regardless if you're big market, small market, because there is the thought that, and I think the Clippers were ahead of the game in this, that maybe it's better to actually let some of these guys go and get under the first apron and under the luxury tax and open up possibilities that way, like the Clippers
Right.
did this past summer with getting
Yeah.
that non-taxpayer mid-level and DJ and Chris Dunn and Batum. There's other ways to build. You just have to be, very meticulous about it. All right, CP3. You've been the
Okay.
biggest CP3 hater
Yeah.
of Clipper Nation, at least.
Yeah.
And I understand it. The antics are there. And when he's playing for you, typically you love him. When he's not, you hate him. He's got a reputation like that. You can turn on him quickly. I feel like Clipper Nation, though, there's been enough time where they could turn back around and fall in love with CP3, who just wants to come home. Apparently, he said on Pat McAfee to be with his family at his
Yeah.
older age. That means coming back to LA. So I don't know if he ends up with the Lakers like they wanted back in 2011, but the Clippers seems like it could be a possibility. Him coming off the bench, I would love that.
Yeah. I think from a basketball perspective, bringing in someone like Chris Paul makes a lot of sense. It does. If he's going to come off the bench for you, he's going to play 18 to 20 minutes a game. I think it's a home run if you can get him to come and sign for the minimum or part of the mid-level and you use the other part for somebody else. Like I can't really argue with that. He just hurts my soul. Like watching him play basketball really just kills me. And I can conceptualize it on one hand, the Clippers really struggled against the Nuggets once the Nuggets turned James Harden's water off. The Nuggets realized if we stop James Harden, the Clippers have nobody else to initiate offense. And if the Clippers could have just turned to someone like Chris Paul to make sure the trains ran on time for 12 to 15 minutes in that series, it might have turned the tide in some of these games that were, basically a coin flip. On the other hand, he just sucks the life out of me when I watch him play. So it's like a tough kind of like catch-22 situation that I'm in.
How'd you feel about him playing all 82 games this past year with San Antonio?
I wish I could curse. I wish I could curse on this podcast.
You can. Absolutely
What a fucking joke. How is it that this guy is made out of glass for literally his entire NBA career, and he goes to San Antonio and plays all 82? Get the fuck out of here, Chris. I'm tired of it. You know what? And that gives me more pause on bringing him in because it means he's very clearly going to play 25 games next season. There's no way he gets anywhere close to like 45 games.
Chris, come home. We need you here. We need you here not just to be in a Clippers uniform because what you're going to bring on the court, but also conflicted Joseph Raya-Ward. Just, I don't know if I like this. He's helping us, but at what cost to my heart?
Right, exactly. Yeah, every time he like tries to trip a defender or punch a dude in the nuts or do any of the shit that he does, it's just going to kill me.
Did you see this from Patrick Beverley the other day? Speaking of the Lob City era. So he mentioned how he doesn't understand why Blake Griffin is in Hall of Fame conversations. And he put it like this. People talk about Blake Griffin being in the Hall of Fame, and I'm looking like, how? No discredit to Blake Griffin, but I'm looking like, how? I took the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals for the first time ever. Like, if I would have dunked more, does that mean I would have made the Hall of Fame? This is his rationale.
So Pat Beverley is in my personal Hall of Fame. Like, I want you to know, you are in a Hall of Fame. It's mine.
Is it because he shoved CP3 in the back? Did that solidify it for you?
Yeah, that really no. Pat Bev is hands down like a top 5 favorite Clipper for me of all time. And the Clippers have been searching for leadership since he left. They have not had a leader since he's been gone.
Yeah.
So I find it hilarious when people say, I don't mean to discredit someone, and then say something that is inherently discrediting of that person. He said, I don't mean to discredit Blake Griffin, but in no way is he this.
No disrespect, but here comes the disrespect.
Yeah, exactly. Blake probably doesn't have the longevity to like really have what we would consider a Hall of Fame career. But I would like to remind Pat Bev that everybody gets in the Basketball Hall of Fame because it's not just for the NBA. It's for their college career and for everything like that. Blake's peak was a Hall of Fame level peak. Like it absolutely was. The issue is he doesn't have the longevity to really, I think, make it feel real to other people. But Blake at his best was an incredible, incredible player.
I think he has the same case that T-Mac did, and he's in. And he probably has a better case, actually. He probably has more longevity at his peak than T-Mac did at his, while also not making it out of the first round. Blake at least got to the second round. I think he's in, based upon everything you said. The part that I think people find humorous about what Pat Bev said, though, also is how he said, I got the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals. I took the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals for the first time ever.
Where is the lie? Where is the lie, Adam? When he was on the team, we made it. When he wasn't on the team, we didn't. So where is the lie, Adam? The second he left, we couldn't get out of the first round. I find that interesting.
I guess Rajon Rondo also took the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals.
No, Rajon Rondo tried his best to keep the Clippers from getting to the Western Conference Finals, and finally Ty had to bury him at the end of the bench.
I'm just saying he was on the team.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I would argue JaMychal Green. No. So yeah, I just love Pat, and he says some really stupid shit, but
it's Teflon. Like, I don't care. Like, I love it all. I know who Pat is. Like, I'm here for it. I'm good. And I honestly don't think he means anything. Like, when I know he said something that sounds discrediting, I honestly think he was just Pat being Pat there, and I'm fine. Yeah. Something else I want to run by you here. It looks like, I don't know if you saw this, but we got some new uniforms coming, some new City Edition uniforms coming, and they're a twist on a throwback concept that we had during the 2018-2019 season, a particular set of threads that SGA wore that people loved because it's a beloved Clippers team, an all-timer. It is the LA Olympic looking logo. Now, this is coming from Pro-Line Mock-Ups, and they seem to have some credibility. They've been putting this out not just for the Clippers, but everybody's potential 25-26 City Edition uniforms. And this is what they're saying the Clippers could look like. The color is not set in stone, but they're going to be some type of variation of this jersey that we had back when. Are you a fan?
It took a minute for the Olympic jersey to grow on me. If it's orange, I'm out.
Okay.
It's I cannot do coloring orange.
You mean because that could be the old San Diego throwback colors there?
It's just I don't like the color orange. It really just, that's all it is. I don't like the color orange, and if the Clippers have an orange jersey, I'm just not going to like it because I just don't like the color orange. Flatly. Now, if maybe that was flipped and the accents were orange and it was like the powder blue, okay, maybe you can talk me into that, but I would much rather just have it have zero orange on it at all.
All right. That's fair, even though I'm a big Michelangelo fan with the Ninja Turtles, and orange is one of my favorite colors just for that very reason right there. But just to show how the blue looked, how they looked in 2018, 2019, these were somewhat polarizing. I wasn't the biggest fan, but then they started to grow on me. Maybe it's
They
because
grew
the
on me
team was
too.
so good. Yeah, it was a lot to take in at first. It looked like something out of super high impact football where you have these, weird team names and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of, I'm interested. I'm good with it. Like if they go, even if it's the salmon orange color for the San Diego Clippers, I'd be fine with that. And there was all this, the LA word mark was for the 1984 Olympic Games.
Correct.
It had the Ralph Lawler signature on there. There was a lot of meaning put into these. The 5 stars on each side of the jersey represent the 5 Olympic rings. And then they had the little Team USA thing. So it's all heavily Olympic out. And we will have the Summer Olympics in 2028 here in LA. So I don't know if that's why they're doing it now or they just know that was a hot jersey back then. I'm cool with it. My favorite probably was the salmon looking jerseys with the Clippers cursive script from maybe 2 years ago. I think it was 22-23. The Clippers wore those jerseys. And I know they had some orange in there, but I thought they were hot. I thought they were fire. I don't know why you're hating. If you could go for any different throwback jersey of the Clippers, what would you want?
I still, I mean, it's not a throwback, but I still have a soft spot for the painted glass ones. I thought were so fire. I thought those were the black with like the painted glass, sort of like the Los Angeles cursive one.
The San Andreas?
Yeah.
I like those too, actually. I thought at one point they should be their permanent jerseys.
I agreed. I agree with you. When they moved to Inglewood, I was like, they should probably just have those be the jerseys. I also liked the San Diego throwback with the sail jersey, but in the black color. That one, yeah.
All right, those are nice. I pulled up the jersey history here. I like these. How you feeling about this? Is that too much orange?
When they did it, there was like a bunch of orange on the court, if I remember correctly, and I didn't like that. It was too much. The warm-ups were orange, which I didn't like.
Somebody hit you in the head with an orange crush as a kid or something, right?
Yeah, I really was not a big fan. Those gray jerseys sucked. What a miss. What was the point of that?
Yeah. They wanted to test our resolve. I don't know. Nobody seems to love these.
Hey, our script is pretty bland, but wait till you see these gray jerseys we got. Yeah.
These are the ones specifically that I was probably the biggest fan of. I think these are pretty.
Yeah.
This was 21-22 Kawhi ACL year. Yeah. All right. I don't know if there's
I like those. So if you go down the sail jersey right there with the Los Angeles script, I liked a lot. And then these I liked.
See, that's doing a little too much for me with the sail, but I get it. I still like the script.
I just like the throwback to that. And then I also think those were the jerseys they wore in Game 6. But then those right there to the right, those are the ones that I wanted to be their primaries.
This one?
I thought these were so awesome.
What's that one called? The
I can't remember which one it was.
I should have it somewhere here. No. But that's like the Biggie Smalls color thing, right?
No, it's a 22, 2023. I don't want to say it.
I do like these.
The stained glass is a nod to something specific.
Okay.
And hold on.
Here's the good news. They got the jerseys right this year. I feel like better than ever. The makeover's perfect, not just because they brought back the red, but the blue the dark blue, and then the cursive. This is what the people wanted. And I actually really
Yeah.
like their city editions this year too, because they were the same as last year, except with the lighter blue. I'm always down with a baby blue jersey in there. That's one of the best colors ever. So this year was perfect.
The chat is correct. It was a reference to the Drew League. That's what that was a reference to.
That's right. That's right. The
And
only
all of the secondary merch was fire. Everything from that was fire.
I still wouldn't mind going back. I'm trying to see. I still like a throwback like this.
Mm-hmm.
I still like these. This is what Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson era.
Mm-hmm.
These are nice, but I'm just glad beggars can't be choosers. We got the red back. They look good. I'm cool with it. Everything jersey wise is up to date, modernized, but with a throwback twist. It's nice. Clippers did it right. It looks like this site already also is believing the rumors about this year's city editions too. All right, Joseph. Appreciate you doing this. You got any other hot take opinions you need to get off with this team before I let you go?
I'm still frustrated with
to
the
me.
team. I'm frustrated with the team.
Let it
and
out.
the way that they went out. And I just feel like
I said they kind of rolled over in that game.
I'm gonna say a hot take. Kawhi, I think, was more concerned with getting to the offseason than he was concerned getting to the next round.
But he looked the best in that game 7.
Did he?
That one where he got pushed in the back and threw it up and in for the and one, like that was.
I'm talking more about the series. Obviously, we can talk about the game 7, but like they all rolled over in game 7. But Kawhi Leonard playing less minutes. Kawhi Leonard playing less minutes in the playoffs than he did down the stretch at the end of the season is going to be something that I will shoot up in bed at night like once a month for the next year about. He was playing 40 to 44 minutes, regulation minutes in the regular season to get them into a playoff spot. And the playoffs rolled around and he was playing 38 minutes a night. Sometimes not even.
I mean,
it's the playoffs.
Okay, there is something to this because I brought it up a lot too. And I was upset after game 1 where they all played less minutes in an overtime game than they did against the Golden State Warriors last game of the regular season that also went into overtime. I don't think that's Kawhi, though. Like, I think that's a Coach Lou gripe.
I don't know about that.
Tell me more.
I mean, you've talked about the rumors and the scuttlebutt. I don't know how happy Kawhi is with how public the Clippers have been with what they want to do in 2026 and 2027. Because really the only way you can get to that level of space is not having Kawhi on the team.
Well, I mean, you're trying to read what body language with Kawhi. Well,
just it really felt like he kind of floated through some of those. Like we got one really good Apex Kawhi game, and maybe it is his knees, maybe it's the health, maybe I'm really off base. But also maybe Kawhi feels like the team isn't all in on him. So he's not all in on them.
I felt like earlier this season there was something interesting that he said when he first came back and they asked him about, how do you fit in? He seemed frustrated post game and said, I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out myself. But he also at the same time said, basically, the guys got us to this point. It's not my job to have them fit around me. I have to try to fit around them because they got us here I miss these games. So it was somewhat of a mixed message. I wasn't sure how to interpret it. I felt great about everybody when they went 18-3 at the end of the season. It seemed like everybody
Right.
was in a great spot.
Mhm.
I didn't feel anything simmering below the surface with Kawhi Leonard. Like there was some subtext to anything he said post game, and winning solves everything. I get it. But I suppose there could be something to that. It's Kawhi. How are we going to know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just don't know where the evidence is. If you're saying the evidence is he didn't go as hard as he could have in this series, I don't know. He was still easily their best player in the series. I felt like the beginning of Game 7, there were a lot of nerves out there, but I felt like Kawhi looked good. Like I
Mhm.
did. I didn't feel like he looked great, but I felt like he was engaged and playing hard, even when they were down big. Like Kawhi was still moving. He hit the
Yeah.
3-pointer early in the third quarter to take it down from 11-8, and they go on a 17-0 run and it's over. But like, I don't know. I thought he was competing, but I
I
also felt like, yes, could he have played more minutes? Could a lot of guys have played more minutes earlier in the series? Did they have enough of a sense of urgency? I didn't feel like that.
Yeah. It didn't at a certain point it didn't feel like everybody wanted it as bad as they probably should have. And for me, obviously this is like a selfish fan perspective, right? Of you look at what the finals are right now, you kind of look at the path forward, you look at how OKC performed in that Denver series, and it's kind of like the Clippers continue to fumble these quote unquote golden opportunities to have a path to getting, a couple rounds out. And I really felt like this one wasn't, I mean, we've been begging to be healthy. We were healthy. And we lost a bunch of toss-up games. We got blown out once, but it's like pretty much every other game was a coin flip game other than like, the Clippers win in game 3. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know, man. This season is like weird because obviously they probably don't beat Oklahoma City, but they also could have beat Oklahoma City. And, if they do, what happens? You know
What
what I
chance
mean?
would you have given of them beating OKC?
Oh, 25. Like not high, not 0 or 10 or whatever. Everybody else would have predicted Thunder in 5 or whatever. But I don't think it was a good chance. But I'll end on this. Oklahoma City is one of the most like dominant teams in NBA history based on stats, performance, all that other stuff. I watch them and every time they're up big, I'm like, I feel like they could be up like 10, 15 more points. And even tonight, like tonight went the way that they wanted game 1 to go. And there were periods where I was like, man, why isn't this a 25-point game? Why isn't this a 30-point blowout? Like, why are the Pacers able to like stay in the neighborhood? And I felt that I actually texted that, before halftime in game 1. I was like, man, why? Like Indiana has all these turnovers. Why is it like a 12-point lead right now?
I think
And
at times offense is still hard for OKC. Like
really hard.
They're waiting for a consistent second guy every night, and they just
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I feel like they're one of the more dominant teams in NBA history. But every night I feel like, man, you could beat this team. Like they're the least overwhelming team I think I've ever like watched. Because everything screams that they're this overwhelming juggernaut, and then I watch them and I'm like, yeah, but
They are defensively.
the door is almost always open.
Their offense can keep you in it. I thought at the
Yeah.
end of the series against Minnesota, when Chet and J-Dub both had great games with SGA, and it looked like they finally had a big 3, It's like,
Right.
oh, here they go. Now they're going to go. Now they're going to click in, and now they're going to become that team that looks completely unstoppable. And they did for a bit in game one, and then they let go of the rope and they blew it. And even up by 24, I think it was early in the first half, right before the half, Indiana went on that 10-0 run. OKC kind of restored order, but yeah, their offense keeps other teams in it, I think, because they don't have. And look, J-Dub and Chet are still really damn young. They're just not there yet with SGA. So, it feels like this is the opportunity. This might be the last chance to get them.
Right. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think they're more vulnerable than they probably should be for a 68-win team.
Yeah.
I also didn't see the Pacers going on a run like this. Your
I thought they were going to beat Boston last year. I put money on it. And obviously they lost in 5. But they were in every game. They were competitive with that Boston team, who was another like world beater, one of the more dominant, teams on paper. I have a lot of faith in teams who know who they are. And the Pacers know who they are.
Yeah.
And they have a coach who knows how to emphasize strengths. And now he does not try to square peg a round hole. If his hole is round, he makes his system round. And that is something I really appreciate. And I do think it's a big part of the Carlisle Renaissance, is his ability to craft an identity that highlights the strengths of his best players and empowers them to go and be great.
Yeah, they are definitely a whole is greater than the sum of its parts embodiment. Like Halliburton, I think Jamal Christopher brought it up on Twitter earlier, but he mentioned how low his floor can be at times, where he varies from superstar top 10 player in the league to looking like a top 50 player all of a sudden, and he's disappearing and fading into the background. And they're so dependent on him for being the engine. It takes the rest of the team down with them, and they just don't have enough elite talent. They have really good talent, but they don't have elite top end talent around him to make up for it when he's not great. I still feel like they're going to get at least one of the next two at home. Therefore, going at least 6. Do you have the Pacers winning the series?
I do. I think they can beat the Thunder, and I think Game 3 isn't a must-win because obviously, they have another game at home, and they really just have to split it to lengthen the series. But I do think if they come out and they kind of put their foot down in Game 3, they can start to get some shaky boots from J-Dub, from Chet, from other guys in the rotation that aren't named Shea. I do wonder if there is a Jokic dilemma that they can solve with Shea, where you just say, all right, Shea, we're going to let you take 50 shots tonight. And nobody else is getting the ball. Go ahead, take 50 shots. That's fine. Do it. And I kind of wonder if they can allow Shea to go off every night, but slowly turn the water off everywhere else and wear him down that way.
I think OKC can get tight because they're so young. And we saw it at the end of game 1. They did, even SGA on that last shot before the Halley shot. That's his shot, and he was long on it.
Yeah.
He's never been in this position as good as he is.
Right.
I think they're going back to OKC tied up at 2 games apiece for game 5. And I still have OKC winning it, partially because if they don't, I'm screwed. I didn't bet on them, but I did say before the series started in the first quarter, congrats to OKC and SGA.
Yeah.
So basically say the series is over.
Right.
OKC's going to win. And then a bunch of people already ratioed me after they lost game 1 and said, this didn't age well. It's like, hold on. If they lose the
just
series,
game 1. Just game 1. Well. Yeah.
Still win the series, even though they lost game 1. But I do see a pathway now for Indiana where I didn't before game 1, because I still was under the impression that as magical of a ride as it has been for them, this team challenges you consistently defensively like they just haven't seen.
Yeah.
And they have, but I think Indiana's offense and hot shooting and the confidence they're showing with shots from the outside, it's keeping them in it. And their defense has been good enough against OKC.
Mhm.
And OKC's guys aren't fully grown yet. Their
Yeah.
second and third guy they're not there yet. Maybe it happens in this series, but I think they still have question marks.
Yeah.
We'll see. You got 5 more minutes? Go be daddy. Go be daddy. Get the hell out
I
of
gotta
here.
go be a dad. All right.
Go be daddy.
Only other thing I want to say is Andrew Nemhard is severely underrated, and I do think him getting blooded in the playoffs last year, having to be the guy with Halliburton out, may help Indiana win this series. I know Halliburton wasn't aggressive enough tonight, but I think Nemhard is a guy who's not scared, and he could be the deciding factor in games 3 and 4 that give the Pacers the opportunity to go back to Oklahoma City with a series lead as opposed to going back 2-2.
The whole not scared thing is that maybe because of the ultimate dribbling exhibition he put on SGA in the fourth quarter of game 1.
Yes.
It was like Kyrie Irving was like, damn, I didn't know you had
exactly.
Like that. That was incredible. That was incredible. After they got into some pushing and shoving too. That was a bad-ass bucket on that step back 3 he hit. Yeah. They're good. They're special. They're fearless. All right.
Yeah.
So Joseph
Later,
Raya-Ward,
buddy.
thanks for doing this. Be good.
Thanks, man. Bye.
There goes Joseph. I'll switch back. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Ta-da. Premium sound. I at least have my portable headphones now. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate Joseph Raya-Ward for coming on. If anybody would like to comment, not just where it's easy in the chat here, but if you'd like to call in, like so many did this season, and even a couple days after Clippers were bounced, 877-520-1150. If you guys call in, I'll stay on a little bit longer. I also have some other things I want to get to because, we've talked a lot of Clippers stuff, and I know it's Clippers talk, but during the pregame show, I also get into subject matter in our drive around the league segment that is anything but the Clippers. So why can't I do that here in the off season? Like, I don't know. Do you guys want to know where Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to end up? Does that matter to you? Woo! I'm interested. I'm trying to figure out this situation. So, the third best player in the league, that's where I'm putting Giannis right now. Behind Jokic, behind SGA, it is then Giannis Antetokounmpo. Apparently, he had his sit down with the Milwaukee Bucks, where he was going to give the lay of the land or express his thoughts about the future and whether or not he wanted to remain with them, because he is so appreciated, as he should be, for bringing them their first championship in 40 years when they won in 2021, that he can do no wrong. If he asks out, he's still going to get a standing ovation whenever he returns. He is their favorite son. He deserves it all. The 50-point performance in the closeout game 6 to win the NBA Finals. Is that the greatest closeout performance in the finals? Oh, it's up there. It's shocking for position. Then he got the 50 nuggets afterwards, I think at Chick-fil-A the next day. I'm a fan. I wish I could tell you, I think he's coming to the Clippers. Remember, we just had a conversation earlier about Kevin Durant and how the Clippers likely don't have enough assets to get him. How are they going to have enough to get Giannis? Doesn't seem likely. So I'm looking outside And that's why this isn't our drive around the league segment here, which doesn't have the same sponsor we used during the pregame show. But if they'd like to jump in, I'm good with it. So this came out earlier this week. 2 stories related to Giannis Antetokounmpo. 2 people with information about him. First, it was about the Knicks and how they are prepared to offer a massive trade package for Giannis, as you will have to. Yes, they have better pieces to offer than the Clippers do, unfortunately. They're just one of, like, I don't know, 24 teams that do, at least. You got to understand, again, the situation is they wouldn't trade him without Giannis signing off on it. Even though he doesn't have a no-trade clause, they're going to be kind because he is their favorite, and they want to have a relationship for years to come in Milwaukee with Giannis Antetokounmpo brass and never have to repair, some nastiness between him and the fan base because of how he left. They want to always be able to celebrate him. But apparently the Knicks are interested in risking it all. A Godfather type of offer for Giannis. And maybe that's part of the reason that Tibbs was let go. A lot of people are talking about how they want to interview Jason Kidd. Well, Jason Kidd coached Giannis early on in Milwaukee. You may forget, in between Brooklyn and Dallas, Jason Kidd was in Milwaukee, who was also an assistant coach with the Lakers. You get Jason Kidd, you have a better chance of getting Giannis. Now, the New York Knicks don't have a ton of draft capital. They at least have 1 first-round pick. And the other report coming out that could throw a wrench into their plans is that common belief, according to Jake L. Fisher, common belief amongst league insiders is that Giannis Antetokounmpo will remain with the Milwaukee Bucks. Is this a smokescreen? Are they trying to drive up the price? Is it true? It didn't come from Shams or Chris Haynes. No disrespect to Jake L. Fisher, but I don't know if there was a time that he beat either of them to a story. I think he's a part of the Stein line, Mark Stein group. Here's what's going to happen. Regardless if the Knicks get Jason Kidd, and if the Dallas Mavericks grant permission, and I don't know if there was an update on this, to let Kidd interview with the Knicks, as they're seeking that permission from the Dallas Mavericks to do so. First of all, if you give him permission, you might as well say, he gone. If you're interested, then you're gone. We're getting Cooper Flag and you're interested in leaving now. He can say, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know Luka was going to be traded. I was blindsided just like everybody else. And he was. But the future doesn't look so bad now that they got Cooper Flag coming. He did play for the Knicks. He does have ties to Giannis. But regardless of Jason Kidd being their head coach or not, here's what I think happens. Because the Knicks and James Dolan are thirsty to win a championship, they may try to take a shortcut. They may try to buy it. It could work. It could not. But I do think that offer is coming. Regardless of, Giannis, he wants to stay. Milwaukee's good with it. They're going to play it out. 1 title here. And if he plays for the same team for 20 years and he's like Kobe Bryant, that's just so meaningful for his legacy. He doesn't have to chase rings. Giannis is good with that. Great. If he is, cool. I wouldn't begrudge him either way. If he wants to go chase and go somewhere else because the situation is a little bleak right now because Dame wasn't really working anyways and unfortunately did his Achilles, and they don't have a lot of draft capital. What's best, I think, for Giannis, though, and Milwaukee would be they're not in the same place. Giannis still wants to win at a high level because he's a hardcore competitor. And they need to refill the cabinet and the cupboards with assets. They probably should trade him. And if the Knicks come calling, here's what's going to happen. They're going to make a big offer, whether or not it's Cat involved or OG or Mikal Bridges, who they have to pay after this year, and a first-round pick or two. Maybe they have two after this upcoming draft. One more opens up for them, or a couple seconds, a young player. The Knicks are going to put on the full court press, even if the Bucks say they're not interested right now, because everybody has a price. And what's going to happen is they're going to make that big offer. The Bucks brass, ownership, front office, they'll come to Giannis and they'll say, hey, we got this deal on the table. We're not doing it unless you want to be there, though. Unless we mutually agree to an amicable parting of ways. That's the only way this happens. We're not interested. We love you, Giannis. But just so you know, the Knicks would love to have you. And in case you do want to go to a situation that's more competitive right now, since we're in a tough spot, and I don't know if Kyle Kuzma is enough to make you stay, just want to throw this out there. It's a possibility. That's why if you're the Knicks, you have to make the offer. Or anybody else, regardless of the reports that are out there that, league insiders say that Giannis Antetokounmpo will remain with the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay? They're still going to pick up the phone. They're still going to hear you out. It's just business. I don't know if he ends up with the Knicks, but if I'm Giannis, I'm staying in the East. Would Milwaukee want him there? As long as they get a great haul in return, they're happy and Giannis is happy, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think they're sending him to their arch rival. Who would that be for them? This whole idea of, we can't keep him in the conference. Get the best trade package you can. That's what's most important. Garrett said the only question I have is why would Milwaukee want the young players plus picks package? They can't tank, so starting a rebuild doesn't really make sense. Low-key think they want to remain competitive. The only way they remain competitive, I mean, they could take back Cat. If you want to play it that way, they could take back Cat. I don't buy into we don't have our own picks, so we don't want to lose. It's not about wanting to lose in this situation for Milwaukee if they have somebody else's picks and young players. It's about just developing those young guys. Getting the books clean. Having cap room down the road. Amin said, I honestly wouldn't know if you're the Knicks that you would trade more picks after you give a lot of your picks to Brooklyn for the Mikal Bridges trade. This is a sunk cost fallacy type thing. What would it be called? Pot committed in gambling. The Knicks have tasted enough success the last 2 years. I think they're going to chase hard to upgrade their team. And Giannis is the third best player in the league. James Dolan sounds like he was heavily involved in firing Thibodeau, which I completely get. Tom Thibodeau gave them a high floor. They're chasing a higher ceiling. They don't want to just be good. They want to be great. And if you're not experimenting enough with guys during the regular season in different lineups and you're playing your starters heavy minutes, it usually catches up with you, especially late in the playoffs against teams who are more flexible, who are more progressive, and Tibbs isn't that guy. It doesn't mean he's a bad coach. Maybe he has a ceiling to him or a cap to him. I don't know. But I get the logic that they went with there. Not trading for Giannis is probably a bigger gamble than trading for Giannis, to be honest. He's still that good. What's the gamble? I don't think they're winning with the way the team's currently constructed. I think they might have fatal flaws. Karl Anthony Towns has always been problematic with fit, just like Julius Randle is. They swapped him out. Cat playing next to Brunson 30 minutes a night. Well, your point of attack defense is bad. Your backline defense is bad. How do you make it work? I'd make the move for Giannis, depending on what you give up. But Noah said, I know it will never happen, but I'd love to see him on the Pistons. He'd fit perfectly and instantly make them a serious title contender no matter what they gave up. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that's impossible. The Pistons have picks and young players. They have assets. I don't think that's crazy. I don't. They're one of those teams that when you go to a team, when you get traded to that team, you don't want to deplete their assets too much to where they're not even competitive enough. You're just creating another problem. That's something stars run into. That's something I think KD ran into going to the Phoenix Suns with all they gave up. Speaking of Mikhail, you got to find that perfect team. But this is going to be a collaborative effort with Giannis and the Bucks. They're not going to let it get nasty like Dame in Portland. I don't think. They don't want that animus between them. They want to be able to celebrate him every chance they get because since Kareem and back in the day, this is the best they got. And he has been a perfect superstar for them. I wouldn't mind seeing him go somewhere else, though. Preferably somewhere else in the East. We don't need any more teams getting better in the West. I can't take it. If KD goes East, if Toronto says he's the new Kawhi for us and we'll have him on a 1-year deal and we'll go for it, cool. Maybe New York goes for KD. I could see that too. I mentioned the Karl Anthony Towns possibility earlier. It's just, there's going to be a lot of player movement. I know many insiders have said this. I don't think they're saying this because they have any more intel. Even though they do, I don't think they need it to make this proclamation. They're just looking at how contracts and things are lining up, like we all are. Of course, this is going to be an offseason with heavy movement. Clippers might be included in that. But between KD, Giannis, maybe Trae Young, Luka and SGA aren't going anywhere. They're signing contract extensions. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe Booker. I think it's possible. Houston offers them a lot. Gives them some young guys to build around. I don't think I would have said Zion before a week ago. Maybe Herb Jones. I think there's a possibility of some seismic shifts this summer. Whether or not that makes a team good enough to win the championship, who knows? New York gets Giannis for the right price. Makes them better. We talked about Indiana. Could they lose some guys to try to retain Miles Turner? Maybe. Some other guys around the edges could shake out. There could be some really nice pieces out there, some players that can help you because of big trades or because of salary cap crunches. LeBron doesn't need to take a pay cut to stay with the Lakers. He's staying with him. It's not going to be dependent on if he'll take a pay cut. That means he'll stay with them. If he gives them a pay cut is the only question. Not going anywhere. Bronny's there. Luka's there. They have a chance to compete. I think the Grizzlies are a place to look. Triple J, Desmond Bane, Ja Morant. Triple J should get the extension. But Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, could they be moved? Houston. Jalen Green. Jabari Smith Jr. Tari Eason. They're going to look for a scorer, a shooter. Orlando's going to look for the same. Could the Nuggets get KD and a Michael Porter Jr. package? I don't know, because MPJ is coming off I know he was hurt, but he's got money due. Let me see how much more he's owed here. I don't know if that's, with all the injury issues, that's the guy. I guess he only has 2 more years left. $38 million this year, $40 million next year. Maybe. I could see them making a run. I could see a lot of different suitors. We haven't even mentioned San Antonio. If they want Giannis, they get Giannis. If they want Giannis, they get Giannis. San Antonio. They have the pieces, as long as he's willing to move. And why wouldn't you be willing to go to San Antonio if you want to win? His choice. If he wants to stay there and be loyal and be a lifer with Milwaukee, I think that's a cool path to take as well. It's rare. It's unique. He's got a great legacy. Boston. Yeah, Drew, Derek White maybe, Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe if somebody made the right trade package for Jaylen Brown. Okay, I doubt that. But it's been talked about. Austin Reeves is going to get paid after this season. I don't know if the Lakers can win at the highest level with Austin Reeves, Luka, and LeBron all out there on the floor. I don't know if those other 2 guys can be good enough defensively to make up for those 3. Now, LeBron picks his spots and actually has played some really good defense at times this year and in that playoff series. I think he was probably their best player in that playoff series. But Austin Reeves, he can be a feisty defender, but not necessarily a good defender consistently. Luka's Luka. He's big, but gets picked on. Maybe he gets in better shape. What if they say, well, we're not interested in paying Austin Reeves? We're going to move him now. I'd probably wait and see how good he is with Luka and how good can that fit be in a post-LeBron era. Giannis as a Spur, that might be a game, set, match. Imagine they hold on to Stephon Castle. They give up Vassell, Keldon Johnson, a couple of first-round picks. I could get it done. Maybe they have to give up Castle, but they're gonna be okay. Fox is there. Fox, Giannis, Wemby. And they'll have one of those 3 guys between Vassell, Keldon, and Castle still left. You're right, I mean. Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, not a good defensive lineup. The Lakers' only good defenders, I think they are Rui, Vando, Finney Smith Jr. I think Rui could get moved. Vando's contract's tough. I think Finney Smith's a free agent. Let me check on that. I do like Dorian Finney-Smith. Let me check on that contract. I think Gabe Vincent could get moved. I think Rui could get moved. Maybe Austin. Maybe, but I don't think they want to. So, yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith has a player option for $15 million. I would think he opts out because he's still 32. He could get more. We'll see. What if James Harden says he wants 3 years? Therefore, his contract doesn't line up with Kawhi's 2 years left. What do the Clippers do? That's a tough position to be in. Then all of a sudden, if he's off the books, you have $35 million more dollars. We're all assuming he's back. I'm just saying that would change everything. I think it's unlikely, but just to make sure we bring up all possibilities and all angles here, I got to at least mention it. I don't know what James Harden's thinking. Maxi Kleber's contract could get moved. What the Lakers need is a move for Daniel Gafford, but I don't know if Dallas would trade with them anymore. They'd at least bleed them dry this time, I would think, because of the backlash. Garrett said Wemby, Luka, Flag, SGA, Jokic, and just to name a few as young stars we have to deal with in the West. Silver needs to step in. Problem is to merge both leagues to even things out, where you just seed everybody 1 through 16, regardless of conferences. Just do away with conferences. Do away with divisions and conferences. I'm sorry, Chuck. Divisions are pointless at this juncture as well. Owners in the Eastern Conference would have to vote for that to happen, and they never will, because they know, hey, if you're Cleveland, Indiana, New York, how good are you feeling right now? Boston and Milwaukee look to be out of it for next year. If you're Orlando, you're probably feeling like, hey, we could be the 3 seed maybe. The path is just so much easier. Path of least resistance. Amin said, trust the Lakers GM going to fleece Nico again, and Adam can get back to the thanks, Nico. I don't need that to happen. Like, honestly, Nico Harrison, there's no need. You don't need to work with Rob ever again. Just because it could make sense for you guys to get Austin Reeves and them getting Daniel Gafford doesn't mean you should do it. You might have to give him PJ Washington too. Doesn't mean you should do it. Now the Clippers, they move in. Look at PJ Washington. Power forward option. They got Cooper Flag now. It's just going to be a summer that's going to have our head spinning. It's going to be crazy. I know there's going to be a ton to talk about. There's going to be unexpected moves. Guys nobody saw leaving. And salary cap crunches. I think the Clippers last summer we talked about with Joseph Raya-Ward, but they got out in front of some things. They got their heads wrapped around this new CBA pretty quickly with what happened with Paul George. Said, oh, you know what? While everyone says you lost Paul George for nothing, the Clippers went, no. We got under the first apron in the salary cap and the luxury tax. That's not nothing. We got the non-taxpayer mid-level. We got flexibility. I think a lot of teams now are going to go, this is better than holding on to certain guys. This is the better path. Everybody's been saying it's going to be nuts. Shams, Windhorse, everybody. But you don't need to be an insider to know it's going to be crazy. You don't. If you've just been paying attention at all, familiar with the new CBA, and some of the positions these stars are in, some of the teams with high draft picks like San Antonio, they have the number 2 overall pick. If they want Giannis, they can get him. The Clippers' books being clean, keep my kicks clean, is the right thing to do. You're right, Garrett Griffin, per usual. It's the smart move to not be in salary cap hell because of all the restrictions now they hit you with. It's not just about paying the luxury tax. Steve Ballmer would do that all day. He did. He had years where I think he paid $150 million in luxury tax. It's Oh, we're freezing your first round picks. Oh, you can't aggregate trades. Now you have the taxpayer mid-level instead of the non-taxpayer. Go from $6 million to play with to $14 million. All those things matter. You got to be more shrewd, precise, and calculated with how you make moves. They got parity. They figured it out. It's like having a hard cap now because everybody's so scared of the second apron. Phoenix was in it. What'd that get them? Both teams in the NBA Finals under the first apron, under the luxury tax. Now, OKC's unique because they haven't paid Chet or Lou Dort or J-Dub yet. They're not going to be able to hold on to everybody forever. But you got to balance the books. Clippers have done a great job there. You got to stay opportunistic. And that means having that flexibility to strike at the right time. As Clavon would say.
We are divine opportunists. We are divine opportunists.
As he would also say.
I almost turned into that honeycomb monster with all the hair on his ass and shit. Man, I was gonna go ham, dog.
Garrett said, look at all the CBA casualties already. PG, Cat, Luka even. Now, looks like Boston, Phoenix, Milwaukee. More will be crushed. You're spot on. You either are ahead of it or still haven't tangled with this new CBA yet. And there's a reckoning coming for your roster construction. Everybody's going to have to deal with it. And that's why the Clippers getting out ahead of it means they could benefit from some of these teams that are going to have to lose some guys. Good players. Maybe the Clippers can snatch them up. That's the hope. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate Joseph Raya-Ward. Oh, I'd been gathering some of the giveaways at Intuit Dome this season to give away myself this summer. So here's how you win. Very simple. Best comment in the video section of this very episode. Best comment is subjective, Adam. What does that mean? You're damn right it is. It's up to me to decide what the best comment was. You got to make me like it. You got to play it to the audience of one in this case. So, say something you think I'm going to like. Maybe it's creative. Maybe it's smart. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's a really good troll job. And if you do the best job in the comment section of this episode, you too could win a Clippers viewfinder. They gave these away near the end of the season. I got one for you guys. Best comment here on the YouTube side in the comment section below for this episode will win the Clippers 24-25 season viewfinder. Good luck to all. Be a divine opportunist.
We are divine opportunists.
Is it your Cinderella story to win?
That's our Cinderella story. Man, you better go on and pass that glass slipper, because we slide it on the foot of the Clippers, man. Look.
All right. Old Dirty Dasher, you weren't paying attention. I just gave out the rules. I made it very simple. Rewind the tape. Till next time, and I think I'll start doing this consistently on Sunday nights for you guys. I like a Sunday night episode. That's when all the best HBO shows are. But I think Last of Us is done. It's the summer. Everybody's got to get ready for the fall. Ain't much to do. Dog days are coming. NHL finals about to be over. NBA finals about to be over. I think Sunday night. Count on us being here on Clippers Talk on Sunday nights moving forward, unless I say otherwise. Now, if there's breaking news during the week, we'll hit that up. Don't worry. But I like coming in the studio. Hopefully we start getting some more calls at some point. If you guys know there's some appointment viewing going on Sunday night, if there's a consistent schedule, you'll be here. If you build it, they will come. We're building a Sunday night off-season Clippers Talk show. That's what we got for you. Thanks to Joseph Raya-Ward for coming on. I'm Adam Moslin. Talk to you guys next time. Be safe out there.
Off the air.